everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. ZeroHedge.com highlights an interview by Oliver Stone, in which he interviewed Vladimir Putin, the Russian president. And it says, Putin tells Stone, Snowden is not a traitor. Another one that sees the light. It says, just hours after Megyn Kelly announced on NBC Today's show that she'd be interviewing Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg tomorrow at the International Economics Forum, Showtime released a first trailer, an extended clip of the Putin interviews. A sit-down with the Russian president conducted by the filmmaker Oliver Stone for a 4-part series that premieres on 12 June. Now, interestingly enough, I first have to say that I find myself incredibly drawn to Putin. The guy's a strong leader. He seems to be one that doesn't mince words. He doesn't try and pull the wool over people's eyes. He tells it the way he sees it. At least that's the way I see it. And the fact that Western media has totally and completely vilified him and got on this down with Russia bandwagon really should raise red flags in people's heads, especially considering the history of when this has occurred in the past and what has happened as a result of it. And I use Muammar Gaddafi as an example, a man that brought water to the desert, that you put the resources of Libya to work for his people. If they had an electric bill, the government paid for it. If somebody got married, if the couple got married, they would put half the money towards a house, towards anywhere they wanted to live. If you wanted to go to school, the government would pay for you to go to school anywhere in the world. These are just a few things that Gaddafi put in place for his own people. He was also pivotal in forming the African Economic Union. And part of that was to teach Africa how to utilize its own resources to its own benefit. And they were actually on the way to creating the African dinar, a gold-backed currency that would have usurped the power of the Western banks. And of course, that couldn't be allowed to happen. So Gaddafi was taken out. Same thing with Saddam Hussein. You had George W. Bush, weapons of mass destruction, which they never to this day have found one weapon of mass destruction coming from Iraq. Yet they executed the Iraqi president on the basis of being a terrorist, supporting terror, and having weapons of mass destruction. So when I see these interviews, they tend to be very revealing, and in an extended clip, and you can see this on the Zero Hedge article. I'll put this in the box below. Stone and Putin can be seen driving in a car. Putin's driving him around with an English translator in the back seat, discussing topics such as Edward Snowden, whistleblowing, and Russian intelligence. Stone asked him this in the clip. He says, as an ex-KGB agent, you must have hated what Snowden did with every fiber of your being. Putin replied, Snowden is not a traitor. He did not betray the interest of his country, nor did he transfer any information to any other country which would have been pernicious to his own country or to his own people. The only thing Snowden does, he does publicly. Now, even though Putin condemned the NSA spying operation, he told Stone that Snowden shouldn't have leaked the documents the way he did. Quote, if he didn't like anything at work, he should have simply resigned. But he went further, Putin said in the interview. Now, Stone, whose 2016 film Snowden detailed the rise and fall of the whistleblower, goes on to ask Putin about his own intelligence activity throughout the clip, and features no overt references to rumors of Russian meddling in the 2016 U.S. election. Stone can be seen asking Putin about hacking in the special's official 30-second trailer. Quote, I think they're working quite well, Putin said of Russian intelligence. Our intelligence services always conform to the law. That's the first thing. And secondly, trying to spy on our allies, if you really consider them allies and not vessels, is just indecent because it undermines trust. And it means that in the end, it deals damage to your own national security. Now, Stone recently went to Facebook to express his own views on Trump and Putin. The film comes against a frightening background wherein the U.S. is sleepwalking into a situation where it becomes more and more likely that Russia will react, and which is precisely why so many angry American neocons and Hillary-wing Democrats seem to want, and I don't know why, but Zero Hedge says, is it really worth it to push the world closer to the nuclear precipice for this anger? Is it Trump they hate, or is it truly the Russians? And why have they conflated these two? I don't know. I can say that the Russian hate actually predates Trump. And it really surprised me, to be honest with you, when President Obama took the stance that he did on Russia. And the only answer that I can give you as far as why this is taking place is because the deep state and because the military-industrial complex feels threatened. And I don't know why they feel threatened, because you have a President Trump that has totally come out and said that he's going to bolster the military with an anticipated budget increase of 10%, which is unbelievably huge considering how much we already spend annually in defense. So, and when you take into how much we actually spend, not just the budgetary stuff that you see on paper, but the stuff that you don't see on paper because of black budgets and government accounting, it ends up being like $1.2 trillion out of the $3 trillion they take in every year. That is an unbelievable amount of money that's spent on defense, when it's really not defense, my friends. It's offense. You know, they changed the name of the Department of Defense. It used to be called the Department of War. And they didn't like that because it sent a bad message. So in a Bernaysian twist, they changed the name of the Department of War to the Department of Defense to make it seem, cozy and cuddly, we're here for you for your defense. And until we change that mindset back and understand that we don't defend freedom and democracy, we push ideologies on different cultures that don't want this ideology at all, then we're just going to end up going down, 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 spiraling downward until something tragic does happen. And a lot of tragic things have happened, you know, with these attacks in London and Manchester, all over the world. But something big is going to eventually come when you keep rolling the dice and playing the odds. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Have a great day.